Welcome to Steve's Place. It's Sunday night before the conference, and we're looking for a great show. Unfortunately, tonight, Terrence could not make it because he ended up being held back on this film shoot. However, Dr. Yu will be joining us, and he'll be carrying on with a lot of what uh, Terrence is going to talk about. So, to get started, I want to remind everybody to become a member of the YouTube channel. To get there, just go to TeslaTech.info, which should look like the image there with the little yellow box in the corner. That's TeslaTech.info, and you click in that yellow box and get the YouTube channel, and at least become a subscriber. We have hundreds of videos up there for free, and even hundreds more that are members only. And if you join for like $9.99 a month, you get everything, you know. And like I said, we have over 1,500 videos up there. But subscriptions cost nothing. That gives you access. You have access to hundreds of videos. Plus, you get notified when we put stuff up if you knock on the notification. And while we're talking about that, I want to remind everyone to be sure and give us a thumbs up, okay, on the YouTube channel there to help the bots find us and let other people know about us. Okay, and now I want to remind everyone we're having a conference coming up, the Extraordinary Technology Conference in Albuquerque, New Mexico this week. In fact, I'm broadcasting from my hotel room at the hotel. I'm already set up in my room for the one of the control centers here, and then we're setting up the stages and everything tomorrow. And we should have a really bang up setup by Wednesday. Wednesday we're going to have our first thing, which will be do-it-yourself drones. You can still get in on the action. 520-463-1994. Call me tonight or tomorrow, and I can give that 25% off still. You need to get hold of the hotel right away to get their discount. I think they'll probably end it tomorrow after I meet with them. Okay, and then we have like 28 speakers, and we're going to start off with a workshop that's going to be free to those who are registered. We have free drone workshop, how to do it yourself, and you should get a kit and take one home with you. And we just, like I said, Terrence Howard is going to be there. He'll be speaking on Saturday night about the future, And Bob Grinier's there, and Lena Freeland. She's been investigating this stuff forever. And Mr. Pollard, he's a world-renowned physicist when it comes to water research and that. Everybody refers to him. And so if you got to come. And if you can't come, we have the live stream. So if you just go to the website and click on the brown box, that take you to the live stream information, and just go through there, and it has everything in there. So anyway, with that, without further ado, let me introduce Mr. Dr. Weeping Yu. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Dr. Yu. Well, are you from China or?
Okay. My name Weiping Yu. I'm currently working for NASA, and I'm a physicist. And also, you asked me, I got my bachelor degree from China. You're right.
I got my degree at the University of Colorado, and we have some Chinese graduate students that are working with us too.
Okay. So you're familiar with the people.
Oh, yeah. I was in Korea for 2 years too, so.
You're a veteran. Okay, you remind me that one. So, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, you're going to be talking at the conference as well, and I think you talked before, Terrence, if I remember right, and you'll be. Hold on, let me get in here. Sometimes these things are kind of contrary. You'll be talking about unlocking the mystery of the universe.
That's right. It's a big topic. Thank you, Steve, for having me on, and thank you for inviting me as a keynote speaker on Saturday night. Okay, yeah, that's August 9th. Start from 6 p.m. and to 8 p.m. And my topic, if you have any questions about understanding the universe, that's how I prepared this topic to try to unlock all the mysteries, all the secrets of the universe in front of you. I hope you can join Steve's conference. Yeah, that's great. Steve, you want me to just drive? Okay.
Yeah, I'll be back here in the background here, and if you have anything you want me to tune in on, I'll be right here. Okay.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You're the guest
you-
of honor.
Yeah, if you want me to drive, I can. But I like to have
right here.
Yeah, I like to have a conversation with you.
Because I never heard of the Euclidean theory.
Yes, so this time I find that you will be one of the first hear this one in public and in your platform, and I hope that's gonna changing people's understanding and changing the world. So there's 3 key points. Because of limited time, I just want to share with you. If you do not have time to listen to my entire presentation in the conference for the August 9th, and I just give you a preview. I'm not going to give up everything, but the key things, if you want to learn anything about the secrets of the universe, that I highlighted those 3 key points. The first one is called monocharged particles. Electron, negative charge, right? Positron, proton, these are positive charged. And the quarks, like a fractional charged particle, right? You look at my my stamps on the far right. It does not, these particles, so-called charged particles, do not exist. This is very important secrets. If you want to remember, so this is a very important things I want you to understand. So the whole thing is all the so-called monocharged charged particles. That's the presented in the standard model of particle physics. That's basically the quantum mechanics standard model. These charged particles does not even exist. What does that tell you? That tell you if an electron does not exist, what about electricity? So that means we have a problem in explain what is electricity, what is the current, what is the voltage, what is the resistance. So all these concepts actually was distorted. And so now you think about it. If we do not have electron and we do not have a proton, what does that mean? That means the atomic models, the current standard model of particle physics, the quantum mechanics model built on this called electron proton, this is called the perpetual motion machine, or we call the orbital type of atomic atom, is false. It does not exist. That's what I discovered. The so-called atoms or molecules, they have no rotation part whatsoever inside of atoms. So the so-called electron orbiting nucleus is a complete false narratives. And in the August 9th presentation, I will convince you with evidence, so why we got this wrong and how we got wrong. So if you are interested, then we can you can tune in, or you can still sign up for the conference. The second thing I wanted to emphasize is the photons, the so-called particle of light. Have you ever thought about it? Some particles have a massless, does not have a mass, does not have a charge, however, can carry electromagnetic wave. So that's light. Does that ever make you feel like crazy? It did for me. So let me tell you, after years of study, I found that photon, so-called particle light, does not exist also. Now, the third. So what really matter made of? If matter does not have electron, does not have a proton, does not even have a so-called neutron or quarks. So what really matter made of? That's number 3. That's called the yuan. It's a magnetic particle. So all the matters actually at a fundamental level made only by one single particle is a magnetic particle. I try to emphasize this one. Okay, the difference between magnetic particle and the electric charge. Electric charge treat positive and negative charge as individual particles, right? And the magnetic particle treat positive charge and negative charge as a part of magnetic polarities. Polarity. Okay. So if you get all these 3, I will explain in my conference with detailed evidence. I believe if you can listen to first half an hour, I should be able to convince you that's how physics get wrong. Why we have so many confusions among theoretical physics. And because of physics problem, so what happens? It creates problems for chemistry. The chemistry based on the electron and the proton, that's called the orbital atom model. So all the chemistry principles has to be re-established, but only make it simpler. Okay. And also it has an impact on biology. You know, if we cannot understand biology built on top of chemistry, right? Chemistry built on top of physics. So that's why we have a lot of mystery and needed to unpack in the conference. Okay, Steve, I want you to jump in.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the conference and everything. And I believe that everything, I believe that magnetics is probably one of the basic forces of the universe here, and everything springs from it. And in fact,
wonderful. You can see this theory tell you use one particle and one force to explain the entire world. So that's right. You said that everything springs off magnetism.
And in addition, there are like magnetic circuits, out there that exist that promote the movement of magnetic particles as opposed to electrons. But
that's right.
Never ceases to amaze me on how thorough they are, though, with how thoroughly they have developed the electronic theory.
Right.
And that's probably due to Steinmetz. And I know like Heaviside had a lot to do with it, but Heaviside, he even included gravity and with that. But because it was a quaternion equation at that point, because of the addition of gravity, he had to drop that out in order to be able to solve the equations. Okay.
Right.
And a lot of times, these people that come out, they talk about suppression and that technology, I believe, is built upon quite bluntly ignorance. I mean, they know so much, but then like when they were doing trying to solve equations, well, you can't solve 4 variables. I mean, it's just a supercomputer can now, but back then they couldn't, and so they drop it down to 3 because it considered gravity as a negligible effect. Okay, and it's kind of like, I don't know if you remember these gravity, not gravity, but these rail guns. Okay, where you use electromagnetic field to throw a propellant out, right? A pellet out. Well, the Navy, when they first started, they had a problem with the rails breaking. And that's because they were relying on Lorentz equations, which were the equations for electromagnetic forces, okay, in space, basically, because they took the longitudinal component of a current in a wire, and because it was so small, it's negligible. But when you start dealing with high currents, high voltages, all of a sudden that was secondary, all of a sudden becomes primary, and that's what was causing the rails to break. And they knew this to some degree back in the 1900s, because they used this when they made electric furnaces for iron, and they used the longitudinal wave to stir the molten iron.
Mm-hmm.
We know stuff without knowing that we know it, and it's people like you who come in there and you kind of formalize that for us, so we can understand it better.
Wonderful. So you are electrical engineer, and you based on your experience. So that's why you are very easy. You do not have a problem to accept the general concept. If people truly understand what I'm talking about here, we have to rewrite the entire physics book. Steve, if you think about it, so have you taught physics in your middle school, high school, or in college?
Well, when I went to school, the speed of light was supposed to be absolute, and we proved in the back rooms of I believe it was our 1986, or might have been 1988 conference, we had an experiment set up, and we demonstrated that magnetic forces move 35 times the speed of light. We demonstrated it.
Oh, really? You measured this? Oh, amazing! Wow.
Yeah, well, you can measure it, and it drove one of my teachers crazy. He's banging his head out the wall and said that we couldn't be right. He called our equipment cheap, but we're using expensive Tektronix equipment, and that was good down to the picosecond. Okay, and so that was where when you launched your electric force, okay, and use the magnet to set it off, the magnetic force would return prior to the electric force as proven as a superluminal force.
So you don't believe speed of light based on your measurement, do you?
Well, I believe in speed of light, but each thing is a special condition, and that's what we have to realize: is everything's a special condition. Right. And that's become like the electric theories that we have, for electricity, and that the engineering that we do are based on specific theories, specific conditions. Okay, and when the conditions change, everything changes. Okay, then all of a sudden, sometimes if your electric circuit's not working, well, you got to figure out, well, why is it not working? I have worked on a device where I seen it charge a battery in 2.5 hours, a dead battery. Okay, and so out of nowhere, it's totally impossible using conventional electrical theory and everything and all the equations. It should have done nothing but drag that battery back down even nowhere, and yet it didn't. So I'm saying, okay, is that sometimes, okay, like they try to say these free energy devices they have batteries in are fake, but I'm thinking that maybe that battery is a chemical interface into another dimension, okay, and so it can translate energy from another dimension into our dimension that we can observe. Okay, so yeah, I believe a lot of stuff, but I've been doing this for 40 years,
Yes.
And like I say, I worked on a device that was over unity. It should never have worked, but it did. Okay. Our only problem is we can only get to work 3 weeks, and we can never figure out what 3 weeks is about. Before these guys from Canada come in, they wooed them away and to build bigger ones, but he couldn't work with me. That was their condition. But later on, after they called him a fraud and everything, I wrote a paper defending them, and he called me up and thanked me and said, if they built bigger devices, but every one of them ran into that 3-week problem. So the question is, what happens after 3 weeks? Does the dimensions close? Okay, and it heals the entry, or what? Now that's where we need to focus on, to study it, not calling people fakes and that, and just discarding everything, So yeah, I'm open to a lot of things, and I believe in the water Russell stuff.
Yes. That's a famous, very famous figure in your conference, right? All the attendees agree with, either Nicholas Tesla and Wood Russell. Okay, I have a question for you. Have you ever doubted? This is called the electricity model. So called the electrical current is a flow of electrons inside of a solid wire. Have you ever questioned about that model?
I want to say question it, but they kind of treat electricity like they do water and plumbing, is the way the conventional electricity does it, actually.
That's the analogy they showed up in the textbook. Oh, like a water damage, the pressure come down, and with the flow, electron just like water molecules flow in the pipe. So, okay, so you said that we should not treat it like that one. So what's your treatment about electron?
Depends on the application. It's going to be application dependent on what you can use. We only use what we can understand. And it's like Tom Bearden said, you have these researchers go out there and you do all this stuff and you see these anomalies. But they're just anomalies until we can sit down and figure out what's causing the anomaly. Once we figure that out, we can maybe write an equation in that for it. But once we can start writing equations, then it becomes engineering. And we can actually build things with it.
Yeah.
And that's where, around with some of this stuff, we're trying to come to grips with it. We're like the blind man and the elephant, when guys feel
Yes.
and the other, say it's a tree, and then all say, oh no, it's a big wall. Well, we're seeing it from different angles, but yet we don't see the whole thing because I don't know, we're not enlightened enough. We just haven't. We don't have the words to describe it sometimes.
Let me share my understanding with your audience, about the electricity. So what I discovered is there is no such particle called the negative charge. The electron particle does not exist. So that means there is no electron flow inside of any solid wire. There is no, that's called, I'm talking about the flow is transport material. Just like a water from one end of pipe flow to other pipe. There's no such motion whatsoever in any solid medium, solid materials. Then what is electricity? So it's not a flow of particles. And what else? It's a vibration. It's a vibration of particles inside of this solid conducting medium. I call the material medium. It's vibration is a wave motion. It's a wave motion. There never ever have particles transport from one end to another end. Use it called the water pipe analogy. That's completely off. Any comments?
Well, I can understand the vibratory part, but when you have DC, it's a whole different character.
Yes. So that's where the conception is, hey, if you say alternating magnetic electricity, what are oscillating right now? We have, I believe, US use 60 hertz. So as a frequency, right? Electricity. So that means rotate the direction of electrical flow changing 120 times. Because back and forth, right? One cycle is back and forth. So that means the direction of electrical current flow has to changing to 120 times per second in a conducting material. So how can you flow and with constantly changing direction? Does not make sense. But Steve mentioned about it. How do you explain called the direct current, right, Steve? So now that's your questions. So traditionally, we consider direct current is current flow, not on the surface like a oscillating, it's all the skin effect. Steve, electrical engineer, understand what the skin effect, right? So electricity, majority, 80% of our on the outer layer of the conducting materials, layers, okay? However, so the current theory say direct current is really looks like a water flow inside in the middle of the solid wire, and the flow just like a water flow. That's wrong, let me tell you. So what is really called the direct current versus called the alternating current? Steve, you probably you know this one for sure. Right now we have a machine generated direct current. You know how they generate direct current? Instead of rotating rotor alternating 180 degrees. No, 360 degrees. So in direct current, we are rotating within 180 degrees. You know what that difference is? It's also based on the alternating electricity, also based on the vibration, okay? The only thing different is without changing direction. Instead of alternating electricity changing direction 120 times per second. However, direct current, they are not changing direction. They are oscillating. So that means not the so-called changing direction, that's not changing polarity. Still maintain the polarity, it is north or south, maintain the same polarity. So without go over, so still from zero amplitude to maximum amplitude within one single polarity, so without changing direction. So the only difference, the whole thing is all electricity are oscillation. The difference between alternating electricity and direct current is one is changing direction means alternating 160 degrees, the vibration, and the other one is always less than 180 degrees. So that means the particles vibrating without flip their polarities.
Yeah. I haven't thought of it exactly that way, but yeah, sounds good.
Does that make any sense to you?
It makes some sense, but somewhere along the line, you still got to account that you got to be pulling those,
I like people questioning, because the more questioning you ask,
those electrons from somewhere and then pushing it somewhere, But then we start getting into things, like action at a distance.
Right.
Because like your typical oscillating vibratory electricity, that is not action at a distance, whereas direct current can be. It's kind of like, if you take a pipe and you have a bunch of pool balls in it,
right?
One pool ball against the wall, it's immediate felt. But if you take and roll a pool ball down the pipe, it'll hit.
And it becomes a wave motion now, right?
So you're getting all kinds of stuff. I mean, I think that people need to come to the conference and they can have a chance to sit and talk with you.
Yes.
At night, because we do have our things at night, where we take a break, and kind of catch our breath, for the next day, and so I'm looking forward to it, What I'd really like to do is take and build a real Iron Man suit, a real one, working model.
Oh my!
Come and say, hey, Terrence, here you go.
Wow!
Go try it out.
You have a young mind. Okay. Oh my goodness!
We do a lot of work in anti-gravity, and that, and
Terrence can help you with that, right? Yeah, Terrence was the first episode, the leading man for Iron Man. Yeah. First episode. Oh my goodness! You have the right person.
Yeah, well, you come to the right place if it's going to be possible.
Yes.
Because I don't think, I know in the military, okay, in the research labs and everything, they are about, I don't know, about 30 to 50 years in the future of anything you see out here. I know that for a fact, because when I was a student in 1984, and they took us on these tours, because they were trying to recruit us to do research, for the military and everything. And they take us in the back labs and they show us all this secret research they were doing. They could show us what wasn't totally classified, and it was amazing. Like the airborne laser, which they now use the basis of for all these lasers that they're using to start shooting these drones down in Ukraine. That was all developed in 1984. They just finished figuring out how to counteract a wavering atmosphere, from like heat waves. They figured a way to counteract that, to make that, keep that beam tight, and everything. And I've seen them punch holes, about a foot, maybe 2 feet wide or in diameter, through about I don't know, I'd say about a 6-inch slab of aluminum, just like that fast. Just flip a switch and you see a blue light, and then boom, you see all the metal hit the floor. I mean, and I seen that back in 1984. That's when they first coming out, with the voice controlled computers, and but you see it in Hollywood. You see it in Hollywood because, like, at that time, you had Clint Eastwood in that movie called Firefox, where he stole the airplane, but he had to think the command Russian. In 1984, Elizabeth Rauscher was she was doing an experiment, on CNN special report. They were showing Bill Bice, her husband, and the reporter would put on these metal skull caps. One going to one room, the other one going to another room, and they were connected with a wire. And one would be drawing a picture, and the other one would be describing what he was drawing. And people in the room could just pick out anything. So that tells that thought's electricity, and so anything man can conceive, he can eventually build, So
wow,
kind of virtual motion machine.
Wow, your video system work very well. I know the file I send it to you, but I have a control which file, which picture I wanted to display. It's amazing. Wow. So, I know the time passed fast, right? It's now 33. We do not have much time left. I want to make sure people understand that when I say those monocharged, the single charged particle, electron, proton, positron, and the quark does not exist. What that means? The implication is this is called orbital motion atom model, or I rename them called perpetual motion machine model. Does not exist. So what I find is there is no moving parts inside of an atom whatsoever. The so-called electron orbiting at a fraction of the speed of light inside of every single atom. That's inconscionable to me. So I never believed this model since my first class since my middle school study physics. Of course, this model is not my first class, but during that when I started to find out, until the teacher mentioned about every single atom is a machine constantly running. Since then, I firmly believe something's wrong with the physics. So that's why prompted me to study physics, try to understand when is electricity, how could a solid particle electron traveling inside a solid wire? That was one of the problems in my head since middle school. And the second one is this perpetual motion machine of every single atom. So that's stuck in my mind. And the third one is gravity. I thought that how could a gravity equation is so similar to Coulomb's law, those charges law. However, they are not the same thing, which I thought that's odd. So these the questions prompt me to study physics, and unfortunately, after I spend more than a decade in physics, even after I got a PhD, okay, and I still don't understand how electricity, how could the electron flows inside of a solid wire? How could an atom, each atom is a perpetual motion machine? You know, no physics believe there's a perpetual motion machine in the world, right? Because you always have a losing energy during frictions, drags, and the interaction between neighboring atoms. How could every single atom's constant rotation like a precision clock? Right? Just incomputerable. I saw initially I thought that it was a joke, but since it was accepted by physics establishment and embedded in every single textbook, so that's why I found that something's wrong. I need to do my part, share my part, and to solve it. And what I find out really what's wrong is there is no any part in the atoms. Inside of an atom is in rotating motion, in orbital motion, no moving parts. So that's completely false. And but if you dig deeper, so why we come out with this called a perpetual motion machine or orbital motion machine model? So then I found, the root cause is more deeper than that. Is it because we're assuming electron is a negative charged particle? And then protons are positive charged particle. And the negative particle and positive particle cannot, in this case, you cannot in contact without create called catastrophe, called annihilation, matter and matter. So you have to, so you cannot in contact. And you have overcharge. The only thing you can stabilize yourself is to create this called what is it called centrifugal force, right? You have to create this constant rotation, create centrifugal force to avoid you impact, to avoid the electron impact electron. So then I discover, oh my goodness. So the real problem is much deeper, is at the electron level. So actually the monocharged particle, so electron, the negative charge and the positive charge of the proton does not exist at all. That's the fundamental error, fundamental flaw in our physics, not just in modern physics, say relativity or quantum mechanics. It's far more earlier than that. It's buried in the first time discovery of electron. That's by J.J. Thomson. He declared electron. He discovered electron was a monumental achievement at that year in the world. Whole world celebrate the advances of the physics. However, he named electron as a negative charged particle. Since then, physics has been derailed from its real nature and become this called orbital or perpetual motion model of atoms. Steve.
Well, I think we get back to like people describe things in terms that they can conceive of. And that's how come you have to have all these models, okay, the electron, proton, neutron, and all that.
Oh, you want to go back to that page?
Because they can conceive that in their minds, okay? And you're asking them to take like a monumental leap. And not everybody can do that, and not everybody will do that. And that's
right.
You have a tug of war between scientists on these theories and that, you know?
Yes.
And it's like, well, you know, when Magellan came down to Tierra del Fuego at the tip of the world there, the people were amazed that these men just appeared in their midst because they couldn't see the ship, they could see them, but they couldn't conceive them, so therefore they didn't see them. Okay, and I think that's what we're faced with in science on a fundamental basis. You know,
Exactly.
amazing they got so far as we have.
You know, because hardworking people like you and other entrepreneurs, they tirelessly work on the laboratory. The world advances not by theoretical physics, not by quantum mechanics, not by relativity. It's by hardworking people in the Tesla, in the laboratory, and working in the field, in the trench, and develop the physical working model and the working principle and make the technology advance today.
Well, at TeslaTech now, and I think Tesla to a large degree, we're based on our stuff on experimental physics or experimental research, as opposed to theoretical.
Right.
And today's world, they rely on computational research, and they compute stuff based on what they think they know theoretically, you know, but they don't go back and verify it physically. And Tesla comment about that, you know, and he thought that was quite insane, you know.
Yes, you know, Steve, I want to make a comment about called equationism. Many people feels like if you think about a real universe without using equation, they feels like, oh, you may not understand the world. Which on the contrary, I believe I want to point out that there's fundamental flaws with this equationism. Okay, those equations are based on what? Based on scalar value, based on wrong concept. Number one, assuming existence of the electrical charge. So what the electrical charge really is, or positive charge? It's a scalar. The real world uses scalar value. You cannot create a real world like what we're living now. So all those theoretical physics trading, when is trading mass as a scalar, trading electric charge as a scalar, so they will never ever use that one to solve any real world problems. I'm working not only on as I'm applied physicist, and I'm also work as engineers. I'm the you know, the subsystem manager at NASA. I'm an expert in finite element modeling. That's modeling the real world. What do? We use vector values. Those is charge, single charge, or masses, the scalar value. You will never ever make a stable star system, like solar system. You can never ever balance. You never ever create the system, describe the system as we are. It's all based on the vector value. Where comes the vector value? Magnetic charge has both positive and negative. You have a magnetic axis. That's define the orientation. That's what's required to stabilize every balance in the world. So I just want to give my advice about all the equations. You are way off the world. Use a scalar value just because convenience, or maybe the only way you can solve hand equations. That's never going to be solve a real world problem. You know, we are using finite element model. We're solving millions of degrees of freedom, not just a translation and include rotation for every single point. And the mass has to distribute it structurally. So that's the effect. It's not as a scalar effect. These are vector values. All the structural distribution. They define angular velocity. You know, conservation of angular momentum. If you use scalar value, you miss all the things. The universe will never balanced, never stable. I think you guys should start it to learn some of the real software solving world problems. And by doing that, you can learn a lot, could understand a lot about the real world physics.
Well, back in the day, I went to a lot of global science conferences, And one of the big arguments was, is gravity a push or a pull? And this guy, Larry Spring, he built this magnetic model of the solar system.
Wow.
With everything based on magnetics, okay? And it was amazing how everything, would keep it in motion, and that.
And does the solar system stable built by a magnetic system?
So, well, I don't know, but I was impressed, with that model is a mechanical model. You can actually build based on magnetics, And,
Exactly.
And then you can see how the gravity would affect each other, if it was as a magnetic force. A model.
That's exactly what gravity is. It's a residual effect of magnetism of the system. Yes. Wow.
So like I say, if anyone's interested, go back to the Global Science Conference and see if you can find some of these guys, like Larry Spring, and I hope to be able to get some of these videos I got. They're in the VHS. I need to get them converted to into digital form soon. But there's a lot of good information along these lines here, just from like people like Larry Spring, and I think his name was Walter Wright. I can't remember it. His last name was Wright, and he spoke at the Global Sciences and at my conferences. So anyway, at the conference, are you going to have any? Do you have any physical models there or anything on your toys you can bring?
I do have some kind of props, but when I do NASA outreach, or speaking in conference, I always bring my demonstration. Every single statement. We work for NASA, right? Every statement in your report, every data you present, you have to show real data, prove that's absolutely correct before you present anything. So that's what I will require. So for every statement I say, I have a lot of evidence, multiple evidence for every statement I say. But the problem is I do not have time to present. And during the presentation, demonstrate, because I only have 60 minutes. And I have 55 slides. Each slide, like this one, the first slides, we can talk about a half an hour, right? So of course, I have to limit myself. I try to use videos. I did make a personal home videos to demonstrate some effect I need to use, but I have to control my time.
Yeah, I understand that. Our conference has like 28 speakers. So
28 speakers, based on the latest, your conference guide. 28 speakers. That's a lot of people. Start from the 6. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, be there or be square.
I will definitely be there, and thank you again for your generous offer to cover, the hotel stay, and I'm so grateful. And Karen did a great service, communicate with us, and I'm so grateful with you. And I hope make this year's extraordinary technology conference a viral, videos conference. I hope have great success.
I hope they do too. Yes. But now, have you? I believe you probably know Del Pond.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the SVP, because a lot of stuff he does, touches on all this too,
Yeah.
Sympathetic vibratory physics.
Right.
And I think he's coming out with a new paper. Maybe we can't. Well, maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe you can invite him in person. I believe in-person impact is much more. You see, the information I explained here took years, right? Decades. Research to discover the fundamental problems with our physics. I have to get my PhD before I can confidently say and to search for evidence and demonstrate all those right. So, but I only have a limited time. I want everybody interested in these topics go to the conference or do watch video or do live
There's a
stream.
live stream.
Yeah, go to for live stream. I think that we're changing your perception, changing your paradigm to the world and for the better, for simpler universe.
And I must commend Karen Elkins. She's the one who put that guide together on the online guide.
She did a great job.
A lot of work, and she's always updating it. The more information she gets, the more she puts up there. She even has the menu for the lunch, if you guys want to purchase a lunch there, So
Okay.
she's hard worker. She'll be there, and then between the speakers, between presentations, there's a lag, because we have to change things over and everything. And during that time, she will be interviewing other people on the live stream. So if you got the live stream, you'll be able to catch all that stuff. We don't record that for the DVDs. All that's on the live stream. So get the live stream, even if you come, because that's saving from getting a set of DVDs, and it's available. I don't know. I bet those guys like in the Ukraine, in those trenches, when they have some free time, they're probably watching our videos. Who knows? Because these guys are drone experts, and that's the future too. The drones. That's another story. So and you also know Marco, right? Marco Rodin.
No. What about that?
He does the Rodin coil, which is like if you look at Iron Man and he has that little power source in it.
Oh, you're talking about the movie. Okay.
Okay, and I don't know if he's going to be there or not. I know he wants to be. I'm working on him. He may be there, but not this year. I'll definitely be there next year. But we cover so much material and such a wide variety. Like I say, we're kind of like looking at an elephant here from different perspectives. And like regular engineers, they don't look at the whole elephant per se. They're taught to focus on an application. I'm not going to use that word practical, but they use like applications. And when you think about it, for instance, a lot of the phenomenon we observe is instantaneous, and like you flip a switch and the current goes up and down, one goes down to nothing. Okay, so you have the initial portion, and then you have the steady state, and the engineers try to get to the steady state as fast as possible. So they're looking at taking this big wave here and making it into nothing. Well, what we want to do is we want to capture the energy in that wave, and that's where the free energy progress will come from. It's still those I forget the term, but that would be definitely disruptive. We tend to cover disruptive technology, and there may be a time. I don't know if you ever heard of a guy, not Blankenship, Mulleski, Dr. Mulleski.
Oh my goodness! I even visited him at his house. His house. Yeah.
Yeah, and he proposed this thing called superlight, which is magnetic in nature as opposed to electrical in nature. And so what happens if we go into this phase of the universe where all of a sudden the electrical stuff doesn't work because everything's needs a magnetic force as opposed to the electrical force.
See, we do have people agree with, resonate with me. John Mulleski, we have contact many times over years. And I believe like 3 years ago, just the year before he passed away, we visited with him. We and David Gronowski, my partner. So we visited him. He demonstrated, he showed us all these, his microwave used to create the gold, use his microwave, and
we have the videos.
You have the videos, right? Electrotide, and I also, I have lots of pictures. We made during our stay with him. But unfortunately, after we came back, I believe that's the proper same year, or maybe just a few months after, he passed away. And he gave the lots of lots of papers. He asked me to review it and to give comments or something. But too bad. So he may not be able to look at them again. But I have a lot of respect to him, and I believe his work will be carried on.
Well, I think
the people attending your conference.
I think even the ones who can attend and get the live stream will get a lot out of it, because you're going to have a lot of people there who have other pieces of the puzzle here, and they'll be on the live stream as well, and if you watch the stuff and you think about it and maybe come to the same conclusions, But we live in a world of change, and it's changing so fastly. I've seen where they've taken a photon, disassembled it, and then reassembled it at a remote location. But think about that. That's the first steps to teleportation. First steps into Star Trek. But I don't want to be the first one to step in that machine. I don't want to end up like the fly.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we live in a wonderful world,
yes.
And at the TeslaTech, for the best kept secret in science, we try to make the impossible possible and the improbable probable. So we're glad to have such distinguished scientists as Dr. Yu come to our conference and speak and present this stuff. And maybe you might have a suggestion for him there, and you can maybe take a few minutes to explain it and that, I think the biggest problem at the conference is going to be getting enough sleep.
Because the social event every night, right, start from 8:30, will be very enlightening and very exciting. Probably make people could not sleep overnight. Yeah.
But they have me on oxygen at night, and I know when I sleep with oxygen at night, it supercharges me so I can do a lot more,
Yes.
In fact, when I get tired during the day, I just go get on some oxygen. I'm definitely going to need it here, though, because of the altitude. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great conference, and
wow.
And I hate to tell everyone this, next week I'm not going to be able to have a show because we'll be busy packing up and everything.
Yeah, you can broadcast your conference, right? Part of the video. So during your hour, share some of your conference activities.
Yeah, I have to pack up and get ready to leave, because I have to keep my budget down,
of course.
So I got
maybe
up, and so I won't be able to.
You have a great support from Karen, right? And Chris, John, you have a supporting staff, right? So they might be able to post something on your website.
We have a volunteer force here. Most of the people, in fact, all the people on the staff are basically volunteers. And they're professionals, and they work, and a lot of them work on this in their regular lives and everything. But they're willing to give the time and sacrifice, to change the future, and I think our future depends on this,
Of course,
because
I firmly believe this year will make a difference.
I do too, and so. With that, our time has basically come to an end, Dr. Yu. And if people want to get hold of you or talk to you,
if you use my name, Dr. Yu, you will find a lot of information from called the aneighborschoice.com website.
Do you have a page with that kind of information on, or?
Oh, I do not have pages right now with me, but you should be able to find, for called aneighborschoice.com. That's David Gornowski. He's the owner of that franchise and the media section. So I'm a co-host on many of his programs, and all my videos right now posting on the called aneighborschoice.com website.
Neighborschoice.com.
Yeah.
Okay. If you ever do another website, I suggest you get one that's about 5 or 6 letters long.
Just like you do, right?
Easy to remember, because
Yes.
I know people
I'm still
like me, I remember everything,
Yeah. I'm still working for government, right? So I have a I don't want to expose myself vulnerabilities to the
I used to be in the government too at one point.
that word. Yes. Okay.
Okay. Well, anyway, thank you for being here, and we'll be back on the air probably in about 2 weeks. So if you get a chance, come on down to the conference. If not, get the live stream. You won't regret it. And the live stream is there forever. Once you sign up for the live stream, you can watch it forever, over and over and over again. And that way, that's how you learn stuff. Like when I was in school, I had a hard time remembering everything, and if I kept writing it over and over again, I'd start remembering it.
Yes.
And that's the way math is too. When I first went to college, I'd been out of school for like 8 years. I was in the military for 8 years. I had to relearn algebra, teach myself trigonometry, and learn calculus. And Calc 2, I ended up getting a D- because not that I didn't know this stuff, it's because I couldn't get time to do the homework because I was raising a family, and I had to remodel the house at the same time, and they asked me, I had to do it over, and they said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, we're going to find out." In the next class of Calc 3, I started getting A's in all my math classes after that. There's just something like that, and it starts coming to you, through repetition.
Yes.
And I can't emphasize that enough. So even if you're not a rocket scientist, come to the conference. You might not understand everything there, but if you stick around long enough, I'm sure you start picking it up. And anyway, you all have a great week, and I hope to see you here. And if not, I'll see you in about 2 weeks. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops, push. And I got you.